one of the things that I always kind of mention here is every environment's different. Like the way the job is on the screen right now, if you give that same job to the same programmer, but 4 months apart, it'll be programmed differently both times. Might be similar, but it's going to be programmed different. Because as a machinist myself, I was a machinist for over 10 years. You walk into work sometimes and you're given a job and you just throw tool paths at it to get the machine running because you're already spinning your wheels. Or maybe you got behind in your programming and the next job was sitting and waiting and you didn't have time to get to it. So again, you're spinning your wheels and you're just throwing tool paths at the job that may be inefficient. This is going to give you a repeatable, predictable solution over and over, and right down to the decimal place in the wrong spot. Everything is going to be done the same way every time. You're going to be able to predict the time and everything. And one big thing that I'll mention as well, and I'm sorry, Rob, if I'm stepping on your toes and you're going to mention this later, but this does not this does not take away the need for a skilled operator. You still need somebody who knows what the heck they're looking at to go over these projects, ensure everything is safe, ensure everything makes sense, it's logical. Because basically what we're doing is taking that machinist, that skilled trade, that skilled worker, and focusing them on the things that they should be focusing on. Because really, that skilled machinist doesn't need to worry about making a roughing tool path at whatever step over and whatever step down. That's not necessarily where their skills should be utilized. It should be in the critical parts of this job to make sure everything.
The critical decision making. Yeah, very well put, Mike. Thank you. So, to that end, right now we've shown you some highly customized and, some highly complex ones too. But we do want to make note that, a lot of people want to exercise their process. And of course, everybody to become profitable these days, we got to get more and more out of our product, right? So there's more emphasis on creating this automation. Now, we wanted to give our users a tool that was going to be 100% flexible to work with your data. You can actually make a process with zero knowledge of coding, zero knowledge of script. And that's what I'm going to highlight right over here. And I'm just going to jump into this one straight away. I've loaded up another project here. You can see, right, this is a block that I had up earlier, but we can consider this as an exemplar project. And what I mean by that is, let's just say I want to encapsulate these programming processes in every type of job that I bring in. I want to create a process for these toolpaths right over here. What the user can do is manually make your entire project, use your naming convention, use your tools, right? Use the kind of boundaries that you want, and most importantly, your stock management. And once you have this all set, we're going to create a process with a single mouse click to automate this again and again. Okay, so the only thing you have to do is think, well, what's the item I'm not going to be bringing in every time? And that's clearly going to be this model. So I'm going to ditch this model right over here. And I'm going to leave every other entity in this project. And I'm going to use this tool right over here in Make Productivity called Automated Process Macro Builder. Okay. It's going to give you the option straight off the hop to say, okay, well, what do you want to automate? What do you want to bring in every single time? And what I said is every project entity. That's going to include your folder organization, all those items I mentioned right over there. So this is actually happening live right now. Single mouse click, Make Productivity is copying everything. Your favorite parameters, your step overs, your strategies, everything like this. And when it finishes up, I'll just very quickly load the code that it has made, just so we can see there's nothing up my sleeve, right? So this ought to be wrapping up quite shortly. Here it is right over here. Actually, this is your final confirmation. And it's telling you, okay, all you got to do now is you have an automated process. Run this automated process against your new project. And if I crack open Notepad just real quick, here it is, right? 5:26 p.m. This is probably a 4,000 plus line macro. but it is made to completely replicate your project on new models. So I am going to do that right now. And in fact, I'm going to do it in an older version of PowerMill 2019 in a different unit system, right? My source unit system was inch. I'm going to run this thing in metric just to show you that it is going to be completely adaptable for you. Here it is right over here, 5:26 p.m. No machinable models. All right, well, that makes sense, right? So the only thing I've got to do is say, what do I want to cut? Let's say I want to cut this block right over here, and that's the only thing I've done is brought in the block. Let's run this guy. Process may not be fully compatible. What it's saying is my source was 2022, and I'm now running it in 2019 with different unit system. Not a problem. How do you want to handle your block?
Toolpath with a feature that's no longer, that wasn't available back then, I think is the warning, right?
Exactly. It's just a disclaimer to say that, back in 2019, they didn't have things like orientation vectors. Items like this that, advanced users of 2022 will certainly understand. Okay. So the first step is just the first couple mouse clicks to say, how do you want to make your stock, right? How do you want to make your raw block size? So you can select the different axes to expand on, key in whatever value you want, make it based on your global transform, specified work plane, or you could even have the option to pause, allow the user to make it manually, and then continue the process. So here we go. Every item is being created right now. I'll just expand these little headers so we can see what's happening. The stock models have been made temporarily as placeholders. And now every single toolpath entity is being built in this new session. The boundaries are being set. Reference tools are being set. Step over, you name it. Everything is not only being set, but it's being swapped as far as units are concerned, right? So, if I happen to have a 1/4 inch step over, then it would do a little conversion, bring that into metric.
So Rob, would it be fair to say that's a great way to share machining process amongst different staff as well?
Oh, absolutely correct. Because once you generate it, maybe I generated this one because this is how I want to handle this type of block. And I would name it as such, so I know that, and share whichever operator is going to be working on such a job. And then if you want a cavity process, you can make your own. That's the beauty of it. You're working with your own project data, and we don't have to make a customizable one every single time for you. You can handle your own. Okay. Now, so here's a perfect question, and this is brought up every time. Well, what if I don't exactly have the same features every single time? It's super simple. All you got to do is have an instruction in the name of the work path. So you might see there's an O in square brackets. That's an optional toolpath. If I don't have runners on this job, I say no. If I don't have vents on this job, I say no. If I happen to have engraving, I can say, okay, yep, give me an engraving toolpath. Boom, here goes the first. And what if I have 2 engravings? There's an option to repeat. Yeah, give me a second engraving toolpath. I want that. Right? And you just go on with the rest of the prompts. So once you get comfortable with developing your own process here, it's just a matter of your own naming convention. And the better it is, the easier it is going to be to run your automation after the fact. Right? It's wrapping up right over here. In fact, you may have just seen the stock model has been completely populated now with all the states and references at the very end, right? So your final prompt, hey, do you want to take a few minutes and revise your boundaries? Do you want to look at any of these new entities you created? You could say yes, or simply say no, and your automated process is complete.